Life Audio.
Welcome to But Jesus Drank Wine.
And other stories that kept us stuck. I'm Mead.
And I'm Christy.
In this podcast, we'll explore the stories that kept us, stuck, wanting to drink and not wanting to drink, all at the same time.
Join us as we show you that freedom from alcohol does not have to mean a life sentence of misery and missing out,
but actually means living an authentic life full of peace, joy, and purpose.
Hello, friends. This is Christy. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. I am just so excited for you to hear this conversation with our beautiful, beautiful friend and leadership team member, Amber. And as of today, October 20th, Amber is 1 year free from alcohol. Amber came to our community as a 40-day faster, and then I had the total privilege of doing some one-on-one coaching with her. And during those sessions, I just got to see what an incredible woman she is and her heart for Jesus. She lives in Indiana with her husband and 3 adorable kids. Coming on this podcast and telling your testimony and having it be out for the world to hear is a really, really big deal. And so I am just so proud of this friend of mine. I am just in awe of watching her as she navigates this next chapter of living free from alcohol and helping in our community and loving and encouraging the women in there. She is just one of the biggest blessings in the whole world. If you're not in our community already, please check out the links in the show notes. There's information to join us. And when you join our community, you can come hang out with me and Mead and Amber and our whole team and all of the incredible women in there. So without further ado, here is our conversation with the beautiful Amber. Hi, everyone. Welcome
Good morning.
back. Happy Monday. We have a beautiful, 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 wonderful human in the podcast studio today. Hi, Amber.
Hello. And can we talk about how we just experienced a BJDW first for the first time ever? Y'all, as if we could love Amber more. I mean, seriously, it's just not possible to love her more until we met her husband, Chris, this morning. Right before we hit record, he asked to pray over Amber, pray with us before this recording. It's a BJDW first, y'all. A husband who is jumping in and praying for this ministry and praying over his sweet Amber. And so, yay.
Yay.
We love you, Amber.
Amber is in our community, but she is also on our leadership team, and she is just an incredible support and encouragement and all the things to the gals in this community. So we thank you for that. We actually got to do in-person hugs in Colorado, which was amazing. And so we just kind of want to start with your story. I guess I'd love to also know, because I can't remember at this moment, how did you find us?
Yeah, I found you halfway through my freedom from alcohol, and I wanted to try and find a faith-based way to give up alcohol. And I was like Googling Bible studies that had to do with giving up alcohol. And then that's when the book Love, Lie, Sober came up. And that's where I ultimately found you.
Oh, it's so funny because I remember sitting and thinking to myself, why doesn't this exist? Why is there no kind of devotional style scripture with the science? And I'm just so excited that all ended up, I got to do that, and that you found it too. And that Google, God is in charge of all the algorithms, as we know, because he's also brought us the best people, including you, through the Google and the things. Yeah. So tell us about, I don't know how far you want to go back, but we would just love to hear your story.
I started drinking pretty young. I started drinking when I was around 15, and I've always been a really anxious person, as you're really starting to get to know. So I used alcohol to kind of cope with that. I used it to make me more outgoing and fun and talkative and social. So I was drinking at high school parties, and people would comment, talk about, look at Amber, she's really outgoing and funny. I don't see that side of her in school. And I took those comments and I ran with them. Like, look what alcohol can do for me.
Yeah.
So I continued drinking throughout high school, college, after college for a while. My style of drinking was binge drinking. And I didn't drink on the weekdays, it was just the weekends. I would drink socially with friends on Fridays and Saturdays. And so I was fine saying no, especially during the week. If I didn't want to drink or if I had like some event coming up and I didn't want to drink, no was completely fine. But once I said yes, then something just like switched in my mind. And I was always chasing the next drink. It was, I'm going to drink fast. I'm going to drink a lot. It often turned into blackouts or pass outs, which it wasn't every time, but definitely way too many times. So that all started to really get to me. I was no stranger to the 3 a.m. wake ups. That was an extremely real thing for me and a very often thing for me. And that's when my mind would, that the spiraling would start. I would have a really intense feeling of guilt and shame, a lot of regret, trying to piece together things from the night before. And it really ate up at me. And I would have that regret and shame for most of the week. It seemed like I'd have that, like wake up Sunday, Monday, still have it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would roll around. I feel normal. And then Friday would come and I'd be like, all right, let's party. Like, let's go have a good time again. It just was this cycle that I couldn't get out. And then it was about 5 years ago. I heard a good friend, she gave her testimony and it involved her exodus from alcohol. And it was an excellent talk. And at that time, I didn't have any thoughts yet on giving up alcohol. It wasn't really bothering me yet, but her talk really it stuck with me. I thought about it a lot. It just, for some reason, I thought about it a lot the next year. It really planted a seed in me. So after about a year is that's when I started to introduce those feelings of like guilt and shame and like, what is all this? And I really felt that God was nudging it on me that I needed to do something about my drinking. So I started to do rules. I've done so many moderation rules. It's ridiculous. Every moderation rule that you can imagine, it got out of hand. Like, you guys know I love my documents. I used to type up my moderation rules.
Stop it.
Oh yeah. They were typed up. I would give them to Chris and he'd be like, seriously, like again, like this is out of control. I'm surprised I didn't have them laminated. Like they were out of control. So lots of rules, broke every single one of them, of course, which is that in itself is defeating. It's just, I'm a very disciplined person. And when it came to alcohol and I just kept breaking all of these rules, it beats up on my self-confidence. It makes me think that I can't achieve these things. And I didn't love that cycle. It's pretty awful. So I did go through reading This Naked Mind, and that did have some great information. But I think where I was really stuck was trying to do it all alone. I was kind of like my secret at that time. Like I knew it was bothering me, but I wasn't going to do anything about it or like talk to many people, maybe a few here and there. So that's when I did introduce researching the Bible. I wanted to do something faith-based. I wanted to find something that had to do with being a Christian and also give up drinking because there was a lot of tension there for me. There was a lot of tension between who I was acting like when I was drinking and who I wanted to be as a Christian. There was a lot of tension there. So then I started the 40-day fast. I did the official 40-day fast. And when I first started that, like the first few weeks of it, I did not go into it fasting. I went into, I actually made up another rule, a different rule this time. It was going to work this time, right? So I made another rule. And I think it was only 2 weeks into the fast. I went on a beach trip. And it's a trip we do annually with a group of friends. Super fun, but it's like extremely boozy, very, very boozy. Wonderful friends. A lot of the booziness is by my instigating. And it was a very hard setup. So I went into it and it was just taking over my mind. Like the whole vacation, it wasn't about like relaxing and enjoying myself. It was about thinking like, okay, I've had this drink now. So let's time out the next drink and just move on from there. And so exhausted, I gave it up. So I gave it up, drank my way out of that vacation. I came home defeated and I came home exhausted. It was a very long 12-hour ride home with a horrible hangover. It's one of those hangovers, like if you like, I had Pringles and it took me an hour to eat like one Pringle. It's
Oh
like
my
just like
gosh.
little, it
Oh,
was horrible, horrible.
I feel that
So,
yes.
viscerally in my
Yes.
stomach right
Same.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so bad. I even have a memory of doing that once with a hash brown too. It was a bad experience also.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
God we don't have to do that anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Never
yes.
have to do that again.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can eat a Pringle as fast as I want to now.
75 of them.
It took me a minute to be able to have In-N-Out Burger again because that was like always
Oh.
my like staple.
Mhm.
Honey barbecue twirly Fritos.
Oh, ramen. I loved ramen.
Oh,
Yes. So when we got home after that long drive, I did have a hair of the dog drink that night. I went to bed
you
and
waited all the
that
way
was my
till the
last drink.
nighttime?
Well, we were driving all day long, which I'm surprised I didn't just be a passenger and drink the whole way home. But no, when we got home, I had another. That was my last one. And so then I finished the fast because we were still in the middle of the official 40-day fast. So I finished that and I did the rest of it without drinking. And when that was over, I hired Christy as a one-on-one coach, which was completely life-changing. And then now I'm approaching my 1 year. It's October officially now, and October 20th will be my full year without alcohol.
Well, let's celebrate because we're going to release this on your 1 year. So congratulations.
Exciting.
Oh,
What are the chances that that's
What?
on a Monday?
I know.
Full circle.
That's only God. That's only God.
Yeah.
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 Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
And
good.
another I feel like only God moment as well was Chris, your hubby, praying for us. Because will you share, if you feel comfortable, like what one of your main fears was in the beginning, if you want to?
Yeah. Yeah. It was my biggest fear. My biggest
Yeah.
fear was our marriage because we had a really good marriage. Our marriage was great. We had a ton of fun together. People would compliment that all the time for us. They'd be like, look, you and Chris are just having like so much fun. Like we were constantly going on dates, constantly going out, and everything involved alcohol, everything we did. And so I was really scared that if I stopped drinking, that it would affect our marriage.
Mhm.
And so I had a lot of talks with him about it, and I think that really helped. We constant communication, constant prayer, coaching with Christy on how to talk through him on some of that stuff. And so one that stuck out is I just straight up asked him, like, what do you think about our marriage right now? Like, is it still fun? And he's like, he thought about him and he's like, I sometimes miss like the really crazy fun things you used to do. He's like, maybe that might cross my mind sometimes, but then I instantly remember where that would head to.
Mhm.
And I don't want that. He's like, so I am very happy with where we are now. So our marriage is better. I have more patience. So it's just like the little things that shouldn't bother me that did, they kind of like don't bother me now, which helps the marriage. And then we get to find new things. We get to do new things together. We get to do everything we've already done with alcohol and do it again without alcohol. And it's a completely different experience. One thing Mead said also really stuck out to me back in the beginning when I couldn't get over the thought of alcohol ruining the marriage is I sent her a message. And she had said something about marriage that made me want to send her a message. And she asked, like, would God want to ruin something that when he's leading you through all this? However she said it, it was really beautiful. But it really helped me thinking about how God doesn't want my marriage to be ruined through this. I clung to that, and that's what helped me get me through.
Yeah. Do you remember what you said, Mead, or like?
Well, the gist, because that's something that I learned because
Yeah.
one of my biggest fears was that this what like ultimately like the last piece to go for me, the last thing to get over and the last thing to kind of surrender was that I was so afraid that it would affect my marriage. If I was doing this journey and I was because so much of our time together revolved around cocktailing or, I mean, really our whole life together. And I learned that God loves my marriage even more than I do. And so if he's calling me to something that's better and calling me to him as a result, because I was making room for him that alcohol previously occupied, then it couldn't be, then like it could only be good for my marriage. But also I could give that to him and let God handle that part. I didn't have to try and control that. And all of us are all products of the truth, and that our marriages are better without alcohol, whether our husbands are participating in the freedom from alcohol journey or not.
Yes.
One person can drastically shift it, in a better direction. So yeah, it was that like God cares about our marriages more than even we do. He loves our marriages. Marriage is good, and marriage is holy.
Yes. Helpful statement right there. Real helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so good. And Amber, your testimony and your story is just like such a good reminder of what we talk about here all the time, is all these stories that kept us stuck, right? And so one of the stories obviously was like it was going to affect your marriage, but I know there was also a story of being in your different friend groups and all the parties that you ended up hosting and vacations you went on. And so can you talk a little bit about kind of the fear and then what actually happened, the fear and then the truth?
Yeah, there's two events in the beginning or throughout this process that stick out to me when you ask that question. And the first one was throwing a New Year's Eve party, which I briefly touched on the podcast we did in Colorado. But I was throwing a New Year's Eve party, and I was really nervous about, this was really my first time being with friends without drinking. And it ended up being so well. One of the girls was thanking me for not drinking so that she didn't have to drink either, which was an awesome experience. Yeah. But the one that really sticks out for me is my 40th. I got to celebrate my 40th birthday this year. And I feel like a 40th birthday is, it falls in the category of like weddings and 21st birthdays. Like it's just something you plan in your mind for a long time.
Yes.
And having it without alcohol is never crossed my mind. Like I had alcohol in that picture. There's no way I was going to do my 40th without it. Even when I first started this like journey or exodus of becoming free from alcohol, it's just like, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep that up. It's one of those future tripping things where I was just like, the 40th is coming. Don't know what I'm going to do for that. But it was awesome. It was so good. I did not drink. I went into my 40th. I mean, it's all of my closest friends and anybody who's going to fly out to celebrate my 40th. We were all flying to Sedona. They're there because they love me. And I needed to remember that. And they love me for who I am, not because I drink alcohol or drank alcohol. So it was really good. It felt natural. I didn't feel awkward not drinking. It was an awesome experience. It was a really good birthday. I think if I drank, it would have definitely taken away from it. I probably would have been passed out somewhere on the corner, or who knows, hungover. We went ziplining. There's no way I could have gone ziplining at like 8 or 9 in the morning if I was drinking the night before. There's no way. And it was fun. It was so much fun.
I love that so much. I love that so much, babe.
I love that. And thinking about like stories too that keep us stuck. You said earlier that, because this is just such a hard relate for me as well, is when we're stuck, and I think this will land with so many of the maybe people who are listening right now, like when we're stuck and we are so disciplined in other areas of our lives, it keeps us even further stuck because we're telling ourselves a story. Like, I'm so disciplined in all of these other areas, which was me too. Like now, I mean, I didn't have my moderation rules on a spreadsheet and laminated, which by the way, I'm just like, why didn't I have that? Like that's kind of surprising because yeah, there's some similarities there. But the idea that like I could keep things within these like, tight places everywhere else and be so disciplined with my exercising, with my eating, with what I did and where I went, all of these things. But the one thing that I couldn't, so to speak, be disciplined in was around drinking. How was it that I was ending up, I'm not going to drink tonight, and then I'm drinking that night? Or I'm ready to take this break and I'm not making it all the way to the 30 days. Or, I mean, it was just like the repeated story to me that like, you're not disciplined or you are disciplined in these other ways, but you're not. So there must be something wrong with you. So I'm just curious if you could speak to that person who also can relate to that. Like, I'm just not disciplined. I've done this in a million other ways with a million other things, but here I am. Why is alcohol different? And how did that story feed that?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a real thing for me. I feel like, I've always been into working out. I've ran a lot of halves. I even did a full marathon before my hips and knees knew that I was turning 40. Now I can't run anymore. But like I could do that, train for it and run it and finish it, which takes so much discipline. But when
So much
alcohol was
discipline.
introduced, it's just like I can't keep a single rule for the life of me. It's just it makes you feel like a failure. But looking back now that I know what I know and have learned so much, it wasn't my fault. Alcohol took over. Alcohol takes over that decision making in your mind, and it wasn't me. I'm not a failure. I'm not undisciplined. It was alcohol taking over all of that.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. That is so, so good. I know that we know that you're a planner. Um,
Very much.
So let's talk a little bit about that. And so how that like helped you for maybe the woman that's listening that's thinking, okay, I do have a party coming up or I do have a vacation coming up. How did kind of planning ahead help you? And what did that look like?
Planning was major for me, so major, because of being an anxious person. Like I need to know what's going on. Probably some control to a fault type of thing, but like I need to know the plan. I need to know what's going on. And when I was battling giving up alcohol and not knowing a plan, it was too much spiraling in my head. It was just so much going on, not knowing what my plan was, but also trying to figure out alcohol. It was just a big explosion in my head. So having a plan, knowing exactly what I could know before the evening really helped me to have that space to put my focus on this new life without alcohol.
Yeah, that's so good. And so what were the kind of like the variables that you would plan for?
So one of the main ones was the end of the evening. What time would I be leaving? If I was out of town, it would be where am I staying?
Mm-hmm.
If I was going into the event, it might be knowing ahead what I was going to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you didn't know exactly what would be offered. And so my backup would always be, I'm going to get a water in a fancy glass with a lemon and a lime. Like just that you can always get a water. So just having a plan on what you're going to drink. And then just depending on what the event is, if you know who's going to be there, have a plan on who you're going to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine stepping into a vibrant, warm community where faith, friendship, and freedom from alcohol all come together. That's exactly what you'll experience in the But Jesus Drank Wine community.
Each week, our members gather for connection calls that feel like a breath of fresh air, a time to share, grow, and support one another.
With an encouraging leadership team, a dedicated prayer request space, and connection opportunities in every time zone, you don't have to walk this journey alone.
Plus, we bring you masterclasses with expert guests, optional book clubs and Bible studies, and so much more.
And for those ready to go even deeper, we offer a small group coaching space called The Missing Piece. With weekly recorded coaching calls, it's a supportive place for women committed to breaking free from alcohol.
We're here to hold space for sober and sober-curious women who love Jesus or are eager to reconnect with him. Wherever you are on your path, you'll feel seen, supported, and strengthened here.
As one member described, quote, the BJDW community is unique because there's a connection between faith and freedom from alcohol that I haven't been able to find in any other online space or through my church.
Ready to join the sisterhood? Head over to butjesusdrankwine.com/the community or click the link in the show notes to learn more. We can't wait to meet you. Yeah, that's such a good one. I feel like when you just said that, it reminded me like that I would always like flag the safe person, right? Like I'd always flag the person that was either I knew at least wasn't going to drink to the extent that I used to drink, because that would be safer.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's such a good one. And then what about like what you would say to other people
About which part?
about not drinking if they asked?
Oh, like what did I say to other people if they asked why I wasn't drinking?
Yeah, like did you plan that ahead as well?
Yeah, I did. And the answer changed a lot depending on what stage I was in this whole process.
Yeah.
So, like in the beginning, it was more so like hiding it, like pretending like I'm drinking. And so that people like wouldn't ask. And if somebody did, I just kind of like dodged the question.
Yeah.
And then that eventually changed to I'm just giving it up for a little bit, and now I'm finally to the point where I can say I don't drink
Yeah.
and be happy with it.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that because I think it's such a great reminder of that there are like this is a journey which we now call Exodus, in case you haven't heard, and that it's okay to figure out what you feel comfortable with, and that you don't necessarily have to come out like guns blazing at the very first party saying I'm sober or I'm not drinking, right? And not to say that you should lie about it, but I mean, if you need to say, I'm just not drinking tonight because I want to sleep better or whatever you need to say, that's okay, you know? Sorry, me. Sorry. Go ahead, babe.
No, I was just thinking about I love all that. I mean, the power of like visualization, taking away any of the guesswork is so helpful in those
Yeah.
moments of where we're going to be in situations where there's maybe temptation and knowing what we're going to say, eliminating any of the guesswork. It just makes so much sense. But I was really curious, where was there a point in your after you had the hair of the dog, that was your last drink, and then you continued with the rest of the fast? And then Christmas, and I mean, now here we are. Like, was there one point in your journey, Exodus, over the last year that you're like, oh, I'm really on the right path now? Like, this is it. Was there some kind of shift? Because, yeah.
I think there were a lot of those.
Uh-huh.
Yes, there was a lot of them. So it's like, I had the first one. The first 3 weeks is when I have that like high and I'm like, yes, like this is it. This is where it's at. And then it kind of crashed a little bit. And I'm like, okay, am I in the right spot? And I think that's when I was messaging Mead about like the marriage and everything. And then like I'd get a few more months under and I'd be like, yeah, this is where it's at. I'm feeling free. A few more months go by and I'd be like, okay, this is getting even easier. She's like, every time more time goes by and I do more things without alcohol, get all those experiences under my belt, it just gets easier and easier. It's only going up. Like I only have like, yeah, this is awesome. This is where it's at.
Yeah, you gained all of that like experiential knowledge by being willing. I think that's one of the things that like is a common thread with all of the gals that we get to get to witness in this journey and getting to this point of like freedom where there's a willingness to try differently. There's an openness and a willingness to go into something with, just like what is it going to be like versus the mindset that I had for so long when I was stuck, which is like, I can't imagine my life without this, or the night's going to be miserable if I try and do it this way. The common thing that I see is that just there's this willingness to like try differently. I remember being on one of our connection calls early on, and you were driving on the way to the store. You have a cute little like boutique store that has a bunch of alcohol-free options, and you were planning ahead for whatever you had coming up, and you were going to go pick up some of these options. You were willing to try differently to just at least see if it's possible. And then all of those things, those little things that we try differently, they add up to like that massive change over time as you experience, oh, it is true that like life really is good without this. And I get to experience this as a result of that. And I just love seeing that in your journey.
Yeah, I remember you asking, like, what are the chances that, like, people do these calls from their cars all the time. What are the chances that you actually asked me, like, where I'm at? Like, and then I was like, well, actually, I'm waiting to go into this store. It's the cutest little store. All they sell is alcohol-free options. And I remember going in that time and they were like, is this like just something temporary? They were trying to help me pick out stuff like, is it temporary or permanent? And I'm like, well, I hope it's permanent. Like, we'll see, but
I love
And that was something that like was helpful for you in the beginning of your journey, but
Yes.
it wasn't necessarily something that you had to hold on to for the rest of your journey. You were just willing to try it and it was helpful. And yeah, can you say more about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Mocktails have its place for me. So I am not somebody who I don't need the mocktail for myself. I don't need it to hold, like, I don't need it because I'm having a craving. And if I have the mocktail, that's going to make the craving better for me. That's not like just how my cravings work. But where it was really helpful for me, and it still can be, is more so social situations. So if I'm at an event, just holding that drink,
Yeah.
that's what I need. I need to be holding it. And then it kind of just takes off that edge of, are people thinking things of me and not holding a drink or anything? It's not necessarily that I need to be drinking it. It's just hold it. Like I'd even thought about refilling a container with water. Like it's all I really need.
Yeah.
I think
love that.
too, I love that so much too. And I was just thinking that I think that also kind of ends up phasing out. Like that party that I just put on our leadership chat that I had to go to, and you were like, I don't know about that one. Do you have a fever? They didn't have any alcohol-free options. And normally I would be like, what do I do with my hands? And I was just like walking around the dance floor without anything in my hands. And then I didn't just realize when you just said it now that I'm like, oh, that also
Yeah.
you get more confident is my point, right? And you get like to
Yeah.
the point where these things just become less and less of a deal because that's what freedom is, right? Like,
Yes.
Yeah, it goes back to when I was saying it's levels. I go a little bit more
Yeah.
time and then I feel a little more free. And sometime I will get to the point where I'm like, I don't need to hold anything. Let's go out and have some fun.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about with my journey as well, it's like I was so focused on the drinking, thinking about planning for, prepping for, recovering from, like my thinking became so consumed with the drinking. And then when I was finally willing to look at how alcohol was taking up too much space in my life, like literally tried everything else first to like point my finger to and
Yeah.
consider changing, getting rid of, because I did not want to let go of my beloved wine. But then once I was aware that it maybe possibly could be the wine, then my thinking was so consumed with like getting rid of the wine and how I was going to do that. And eventually to the point where I don't have to think about, I'm not thinking about it at all. And all of that time spent thinking about drinking or then trying not to drink then became time that I get to think about God. And so I'm
Yes.
so curious, like what your relationship to Jesus looked like before, before drinking, while drinking, post freedom from alcohol. Like, yeah, fill us in on that.
Yeah, that thinking part is just one of the most painful parts of this whole thing. The amount of thinking that really takes up when you're not drinking and when you're drinking. It is so exhausting. And I think
exhausting.
with my relationship with God, the thing that really stands out the most for me was my prayer life because when I was stuck in the drinking cycle, I would pray constantly. I would either be praying for forgiveness or I would be praying, asking God to help, praying to ask him to help me moderate. I wanted to do anything I could to pray to have him help me drink better. And I didn't want to pray that I would give up alcohol. I didn't want to let go of it. Now that I'm on the other side of it, and now that I am free from alcohol, it is a really awesome thing to experience that like my prayer life has shifted from 95% alcohol focused to other things. I can praise for this alcohol focus and pray for other things now. And that part, it's awesome. It has grown so much. I love that my gratitude journal is now full of things other than just alcohol related little things. And I'm seeing things and other experiences of life now.
Is that what we're calling the gratitude spreadsheet, a gratitude journal, AKA the spreadsheet? Just kidding.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. Talk to us a little bit about how your anxiety feels now with alcohol out of the picture for a year.
Yes.
Minus today.
Minus this last week. mental prep to get here. So take away this last week. Oh my goodness, it's so much better. It is so much better. Obviously, it's still there some. I'm an anxious person. It's always going to be there. But I get to watch myself grow out of it now, and I'm learning that confidence. For example, going to Colorado. I think I was so nervous coming into there, but it was a step of confidence for me. It was a step for me to go and be like, okay, I don't need alcohol to go meet a group of people that I've never met before in the same house as them. Like, I can do this. So it's just building so much confidence. And yeah, I don't even remember the question now, but
Not just the anxiety, but would you still have come to Colorado if
yes,
you knew you
yes.
had to sleep on that chair?
Yes, it was not bad. It was good. It was good.
Oh, babe, I love you so much. Can you
But you
talk?
can,
Go ahead.
yeah. No, I was just going to say, so you can still have anxious moments or anxious feelings, but without alcohol, we can still step through them and grow through them versus when we're stuck with alcohol and then we're just pouring gasoline on the fire of anxiety by
Oh, yeah.
amping up our anxiety. And that's what I think. I mean, I experienced, I was someone who was I was so tightly wound before. It's been a big shift for me. And it's not obviously that like all my anxiety goes away, but my ability to handle when the anxiety starts and my ability to respond to that is different, which is what I feel like.
Completely. Yes. Those like Mondays through Wednesdays particularly, that is just when that anxiety was skyrocketing. It was unmanageable. It ate me. It ate at me. Like it was a very bad feeling. And now when I get anxious, I get to stop. I get to put on some frankincense and smell it, and I get to pray. I get strong worship music, and I handle it differently than I used to. And it's so much better.
Yeah, so good.
That is so good, babe. It's such a great reminder too for like even if you're not, going out and drinking tons and tons and tons, just a little bits. And so that affects you, my point is throughout the week, right? If you have a couple glasses of wine on a Saturday night, like your Tuesday work day or pickup or sports field moment, it's like all going to be just more, it's going to be more stressful. And
Yeah.
and the other thing too is it doesn't give you the opportunity when you have alcohol clouding your brain to take the thoughts captive, right? To bring these anxious thoughts to the forefront of your mind, to bring them to God, to line them up with what he is saying, to figure out what is true. None of us could have done that, right? With a hangover or drinking. And so in order to like actually bring your anxiety and my anxiety and needs all of our anxiety to God, like we have to be able to have a clear head for like that ultimate healing and transformation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't a question. Sorry.
There was something else that you said too that I just loved. I wanted to highlight as well when you were talking about praying for not to like get rid of alcohol, but like praying for almost like help for being able to keep like one foot in the door with alcohol and where you were. And I think that that was one of those when you said that in your story, when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what it was for me for so long too, when I was trying all those other things to moderate or the dry Januaries or the fast that I did. It was the reason why I quote unquote failed. I didn't make it all the way through. I know for me personally, I can look back and see it's because I wasn't really wanting God to take alcohol from me and to take away my desire. I was really just wanting help being able to do both, really, to be completely honest. Like I wanted one foot in both arenas. And it wasn't until I fully surrendered, like I'm willing to give up anything to make this better, including my marriage, if that's what I had to surrender. It had to be one of my Isaacs that I brought before the Lord. And so I was just thinking for just how would you encourage the woman that feels like she's not quite ready? She wants things to be better, but she's maybe not quite ready to let go of there's that like, I want to be in both worlds right now. What would you say to her?
Yeah, that's when you have to just start trying and experiment it. That's when you have to go in with that plan and try it and then compare it. See how it is to when you did it last time.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Try
good.
differently. You won't know till you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have so many assumptions. We have so many assumptions and so many stories that we think have to be true about what life is going to look like without alcohol, but we never tried them before we did all this, right? And so yeah, that's so good. Can you talk a little bit too about just what community has meant to you in this, and having a sisterhood to rally behind you, like what that has looked like and how that's helped?
The community, it's everything. That back when I said I was trying it earlier, I was doing the Snake in Mind and not really telling anybody. It was kind of just like holding in that like secret. And then when you find a group of people that you can trust, and I mean, it was a process for me. When I first started this fast, I would never have my video on. Like I was hidden. I eased into it. And then once I started to be like, okay, I can trust this group and like start opening up, and I can start communicating things. And then when I hired Christy as a coach and then go on from there, like that's just when things were brought into the light. The things that I thought was true about sobriety, I was able to bring that into the light and talk to people about it.
So good.
So good, babe.
I love it. What is the best thing about being free from alcohol? What is the best surprise gift that you never could have imagined was possible without alcohol?
It's hard to say one major one.
Yeah.
There's the obvious ones with better sleep, with less irritability, less anxiety, all of that stuff. The relationship I have with God is up there because that's where my life has really changed from everything I was doing, Bible studies, prayer, church services, everything was filtering through this alcohol in my mind, like filtering through, and everything was related to that. So now that that's aside and that my relationship with God is focused on other things and focused on him and not on me, that's probably the biggest change.
So good.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He is so good. And because you kind of have littler kids, just really quickly, what has that looked like? How has your life as a mom changed?
Yes. Yes, I do. I have 3 little kids, and they were starting to notice that I was drinking. They would pick up that I was being a little silly. I remember specifically having one conversation with one of my kids, and we were talking, we were kind of facing each other, and she like had her hands on my shoulders and she's like, "Stop." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Wait, why do your eyes look so funny?"
Hmm.
And that one really stuck with me. That one still crushes me. Like she is noticing that I am different than I should be. And yeah, that really got to me.
And what about life now with as a mom?
So much more patience.
Yeah.
So much.
Right?
Obviously, some days it does not look like that. Some days I am very impatient, but it's on a whole new level than it was when I was drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so
Oh,
true.
so
and I love being able to set that example. I love that
yes.
that I can have that example of not drinking. And my oldest especially, she will talk to me a little bit about it, and she'll notice that I'm not drinking. And she said, "When I get older, Mom, I don't want to drink just like you." And that, yeah, gets your heart.
It does.
Forrest Frank, at the time of recording this, Forrest Frank just posted that he is sober and the reasons why he is, and his baby is a baby, and one of his reasons is because I have a kid and he's watching and he's a baby, and not to say that to scare anybody who is drinking and has kids, because God can cover all of that, he can redeem all of it, like, do not worry. But just they do pick up, and that is something that I did not I wanted a story I told myself was that they're young, they don't know, they can't, like, whatever, and I can see the difference now in that, and so, yeah, I think it's nice to have that affirmation on this side of what patience with our kids looks like, and the difference in them as a result of doing it this way. It makes it, even if we don't see the fruit of that right this second, like one day we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also really notice it, in the times that I'm spending with them, like specifically for doing something fun, like a vacation or like just even a family day out or something. My focus used to be on drinking. Like,
Yeah.
as bad as that sounds, like,
No, me too.
I would be like, where's the drink? And
Yeah.
now I have that space where I'm just like, hey, let's go learn this card game. And I was like,
Yeah.
I just did that a few weekends ago, and I got to teach them a card game, and we had the best time doing it. It was at a tailgate for a football game. Normally, I would be at football, beer.
That's like next level, like ninja samurais. I don't even know what I'm saying, but like that's like next level day. That doing cards with your kids at a tailgate. Like,
Yes.
wow.
Yes, we were.
I am
Yes,
full for
in
it.
2 different spots. One time we were like in the trunk of the car, and then we moved it to a table that would have been a beer pong table. It was one of those tables. It was now a play card games with your kids table. It was awesome.
I love
Huzzah, hallelujah. That is the best thing I've heard,
Huzzah.
I've heard all day. I love that. You're like rewiring what those things are used for. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Amber, thank you so much. This has just been just the best. Is there a tiny new action, a tiny Tina that you'd like to leave the gals with?
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that still doesn't get old for me. I am completely obsessed with it. It's going to an event that you have done so many times with alcohol, and picture in your mind, like a time you did this with alcohol, and then the whole night long, and especially the next morning, I compare it to the time I had alcohol to the time that I don't have alcohol. And comparing those two things never gets old for me. I just love seeing the better experience it is without alcohol. So the Tina would be to pick an event that you've done with alcohol, do it without alcohol, and all night long compare it.
Ah,
Brilliant. So good.
so
Love
good.
it. Thank you,
Thank you, my
Amber. We
friend.
just love you so much.
We love you.
What a
Thank
joy.
you guys. Thank you guys so much.
You did it, babe.
Huzzah, huzzah. She did it.
All right, friends. We'll see you next. All right, see you next Monday. Thank you for being here. We will see you next Monday. Before we go, if you're craving real connection and want to talk more about what we've shared today, come join us in the BJDW community. It's where these conversations continue, and we'd love to welcome you in.
You can find all of our podcast episodes at butjesusdrankwine.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at butjesusdrankwine.
Take a screenshot of this episode and share it with a friend or two.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you love what we're doing, we'd be so grateful if you left a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Your reviews help more women who feel stuck and alone in the overdrinking cycle find the hope and encouragement they've been praying for.
Finally, we'd love to shout out the incredible team at Life Audio for their partnership with us at the But Jesus Drank Wine podcast. We invite you, dear listener, to visit lifeaudio.com, where you will find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in the Life Audio network. Shows about prayer, Bible study, Christian parenting, and more.
Thanks, friend. We appreciate you so much, and we'll see you next week.